Yes, a very good morning to you and welcome to Just Africa, your compass to navigating the content or the continent's transformation through innovation, creativity, and strategic development. Today, we explore a compelling frontier reshaping how African cities grow, creative cities, urban innovation through culture and design from Cape Town to Lagos, Kigali to Nairobi, and Accra. African cities are redefining the meaning of urban living by embedding creativity into the very core of their development. In Cape Town, that's in South Africa, the fusion of art, fashion, and architecture is driving tourism and urban revitalization, making the city a cultural powerhouse in Southern Africa. Lagos is a high-energy commercial hub where music, film, and digital content drive economic innovation and job creation in the creative industries. Over in Kigali is a smart city. Vision is seamlessly blending with the traditional Rwandan design, bringing together technology, sustainability, and cultural preservation. Nairobi's burgeoning tech scene coexists with vibrant art districts and co-creation hub, making East Africa's creative and digital nerve center. Meanwhile, Accra is asserting itself through Afro-urbanism, using contemporary African art and design to reshape inclusive identity, rooted development, and the likes. But our focus is going to be in Nigeria. We will be considering, one, a monument, and two, a festival. But what's common within these two concepts is art, culture, and what else will I say? Art, culture, and economic development. How it impacted economic development, how it impacted our pockets, and how it impacted the creative industry and makes our pocket to swell. I won't be the only one having the conversation this morning. What you see different on set today is that they said I'm looking Western, but you know what? My two co-anchors fit into the core of the conversation this morning because they are looking African, Nigerian, and they really are going to facilitate the conversation this morning. Good morning to you.
Hello, Krumale. Nice to be here.
Emmanuel, right? But your name is not African.
You chose to pick the way you wanted.
I am Oyinpreye Krumale.
So you want me to go down Emmanuel. To the roots. By the time I begin to give you my names.
I am Bayo Olaoye. But
very African.
There's a Joseph before it.
I know, but you don't need to let them know that.
I mean, by the time we start to go down into culture, using our names, which have meanings, you know, I will give you like 5.
I know.
I can't imagine bearing Joseph, but it's long. So Bayo Olaoye, it's okay.
Okay, I see. So, gentlemen, we're talking about culture. Because before we bring the real core of our conversation today, we're talking about culture. And one thing that experts and pundits seem to say is that, most African countries, Nigerians, they are departing from the culture of our forebears. Africans are completely moving away. We are completely westernized. The way we dress has even changed. You put on suits from Monday to Thursday. It's only on Friday you are allowed to. Is it allowed? Is it just a company policy or is it a national outlook?
Usually a company policy. Some would even, at least there was a state governor that even made it mandatory that the civil servants must, that one he made it compulsory that they must wear cultural attires. In fact, even, I think it was Ashoki or Adire, one of the two. He made it, I can't remember, it was Ondo State. He did make mandatory that they must wear it at least twice in a week.
But talking seriously, we must take cognizance of the fact that the Western culture, Western influence, social media, the environment, our educational system is eroding our culture. It's not a question of teaching a child how to say good morning and prostrate for elders, whatever. The essence of our culture is missing. Recently, it was said that Igbo language is going to extinction. The same thing is also going to Yoruba language because it's not spoken. Parents don't encourage their children to speak so-called vernacular languages, and so there's a fear as the coming generation, if we don't take time, we'll not be able to hold firmly to the tenets of our culture.
I see.
I think when we expand the thought, when we talk about culture, we know it encompasses language, it encompasses culture. It has things like the food that we eat. Take for instance, 20 years ago, nobody thought about things like pasta to become part of our diet.
Okay.
Now we're changing the language we speak. You need to sound a certain kind of way to get certain kind of jobs in kind of places here in Nigeria. I don't need to mention some brands. You need to sound Western to get certain kind of jobs. You need to be able to eat their own way, holding cutlery. We are used to eating with our hands. They came and told us that it is bush-like, right? And then when you want to even worship, they even told us now that our way of worship is, they've demonized it, let me use that word. So they're now having to do their own culture, by the way. It is their own culture that they're giving to us as a Western idea. So by the time you see a generation, all new Western ideas, what do you think they want to transcend to the next generation coming? And we are millennials. I know Baba was not millennial. I don't know what you want to. It's not even a baby boomer. But imagine the Gen Zs are now old. Because if you calculate that, the Gen Zs are now old. So we are here Gen Alpha, we are here Gen X and Gen Alpha. Those ones who don't even, all they know is technology. And technology now has made the world a small place. So they are now marrying. I was having a conversation with a colleague of mine, and she says she knows how to write Korean. It wasn't even something that we talk about.
Like, can you
she
write
didn't
in
say
Igbo?
Speak. She can literally write the alphabet and make words of Korean. It's not Chinese. It's Korean. And we all know the advent of K-drama came in the last 10 years. K-drama is now something. So they've somehow given us this culture, and they were slightly just moving, gradually just moving away from ours. And losing our identity by borrowing theirs.
I think it's the business of government and institutions.
But if you talk about
institutions.
If you talk about government, Mr. Bayo Olaoye, if you look at the Nigerian National Assembly and look at the way, most of them, the way they are attired, I would say institutionally, they are the one doing the most. Because the way they are attired, about 98% of them put on the traditional attire. Just 2% of them put up suits and all of that. So I can say from the executive to the legislature, they do that, except for the judiciary that you must be attired in a certain way. In a certain way. I would say even the civil servants are more culturalized in the African setting. So the government, I would say, is playing its role. It could be that maybe, like they say, media, you know, through which the Western culture has been sold to African, could be the vehicle through which they are eroding.
I talk about institutions.
Okay.
These are hubs where people can come and learn and promote and patronize the media, and patronize the arts and the culture. I'm talking about dancing. I'm talking about paintings. I'm talking about drama. I'm talking about books. I'm talking about literature itself. There should be a place where people can come together and promote this for the young ones so that the bits and pieces can be put together and we can have these children thinking more of their culture than the Western orientation and influence. I think that, for instance, the National Orientation Agency, this is one of the things it should be doing. Should be doing, promoting our native languages, our native songs, our native folklore, and our native arts and culture.
All right, thank you so much. Now, for those who are watching us at the moment now, I am sure you heard of a particular festival, cultural festival, traditional festival that took place 3 days after the religious festival, the Eid al-Kabir. And it should come to mind, or Judioba should come to mind since you can hear me say that. But you know what? We will delve into that conversation, or Judioba. We're off for a break. When we return, we will jump into that conversation and talk about the culture the festival, its influence and its impact in business, economy, and development locally. We're going to break. We're back in a moment. Welcome back. Many thanks for joining us on the show, rather. Ojudioba, its translation means the King's Court. It's an ancient festival celebrated by the Yoruba people of Ijebu-Ode, a major town in Ogun State, southwestern Nigeria. This annual festival usually takes place the third day after Eid al-Kabir, popularly called Ileya, to pay homage and show respect to the royal majesty, the Awujale of Ijebu land. It is one of the most spiritual and glamorous festivals celebrated in Ijebu land and centrally in Ogun State as a whole. What many know today is that the horse riding display at the Ojudioba festival is part and parcel of the Ijebu tradition, especially from ages back when royal families and warriors were accorded their well-deserved respect. The Baloguns, the elections, their equestrian parade on the pavilion is a symbol of strength, unity, and most importantly, power. The women were elegantly turned out in colorful traditional attires known here as Iro and Buba, along with the gele or head wrap. Their outfits were made from laces or ashoke, a locally sourced fabric woven by the Yoruba people. Now, so when we look at these, lady and gentlemen, so it's, when we look at that festival, you sometimes show things to people and you let them make the conclusion that, okay, what can you tell from this video? What can you tell from the clip we just played when we were talking about Ojudioba? And they can write a whole essay on it. So
it's a tribute.
Go ahead. Yes. So they can just write an essay, a full page of things about it. So, Baba, let me come to you since you wanted to say something on that. Yes.
Because I've been in so many Ojudiobas, so I know the excitement and the color. If you want to call it razzmatazz, it's a tribute to the Ijebus because it gives them a sense of community and a sense of togetherness. Regardless of where they are from, every year people come, the Ijebus come to identify themselves and pay homage to Kabiyesi, Oba Sikiru Kayode Adetono. But although he was not there this year because he's aging, he's 90 years now.
Okay.
But it is a tribute to the Ijebus that it's unique in Nigeria for a group of people to have that sense of belonging and decide on a date where they will celebrate themselves, celebrate Kabiyesi, as they celebrate the Regberegbes. They are called Regberegbes, the groups. And it's a healthy competition of color and gaiety. And it's like I said, it's a tribute to the Ijebus. And you can see that other traditional groups are more or less following that footsteps of bringing their people together through culture, dance, drama. And you can see the horse riding is unique. See women controlling horses. And that's part of our culture that we should be proud of.
Okay, so Swift.
Yes.
What's from this whole Ojudioba? Because I know it's almost like, maybe in the southwestern part of the country, it's something that everybody can relate to. 2-3 weeks, in fact, months to that time. I was told they spent a whole year preparing for this. So.
All right, so the first thing I want to say is if you look at Ojudioba has crossed boundaries of just a South-South thing. Because of the internet now, people have taken culture global. So you're looking at people in America, in the diaspora. Like I saw that there was a life link where people in the diaspora felt they were participating in Ojudoeba. People dressed up in UK, in Italy, in Paris. That's people from Ijebu. In fact, right now, it's no more an Ijebu thing. It's now a Yoruba thing because I have friends who are from Lagos who travel to Ijebu. It's now a custom. It's a custom to eat traditionally pounded yam, amala from the soup. Now, we are not looking at culture and we are looking at investment, infrastructure, development in our culture.
Yes.
We are looking at the fact that a lot of big brands, like I don't want to mention names, but some of the top 10 biggest brands in Nigeria put in money. So it's not just a sensation for Yorubas again, it's global. Even in the north, so on Twitter, you have the Hausas, they tweet, you have the Igbo groups that tweet. Everybody was posting pictures and videos. You're looking at the economical impact. You're looking at the fact that brands are coming. You're looking at the fact that the people there is opening Ijebu people to the world. Because right now, somebody in London is asking, oh, why is there a woman riding horses, like Papa said? Oh, women ride horses. Wow.
In Africa.
In Africa. And you tell them, look, we've always had warriors in Africa. You know, that land, we never said women can't ride. It was a place where women and men, if you proved yourself in society...
Moremi was a female warrior in Yoruba land.
And you can stand, you can do what you have to do. So it's a beautiful thing. Cultural integration is working. The city is opening up. And I can just imagine how big next year's Ijedoba Festival is going to be.
Yes, please.
I was going to really leapfrog from what she said, because sometimes when the conversation happens with festivities like this, people want to also limit themselves to just the festivity itself. But when you expand the conversation, you could see that almost every strata of life is involved. I remember we were having conversation about how we treat our women.
Yes.
And then the conversation came, do you know how much honor that we give to our women?
Yes.
When the wife of Shango, for example, how much we adore her, or the goddess of the water or the sea. And then you now see, we've been treating our women so much that we won't have a female king.
Wow.
Not queen, a female king. And then when Wakanda came out, many people know Wakanda the movie.
Yes.
It showed them that, oh, this still looks like a bit of African because we had many blacks. Where is Wakanda in Africa? It actually brought spotlight to Africa itself. And that was one of the greatest things that happened to our culture, because you now saw people now embrace going back to where they were. And our women now had this, oh, okay, that means in Africa, they revere the women. Because women as they are not just the female gender. They are the embodiment of life. And when you think about it, they are the ones that carry your culture to your kids. Traditionally, men don't teach.
Yes.
Because we don't spend so much time with our children. So you would expect the women to do that because they spend more time with the children. So when you see cultural things, like, you know you have to put your women in the spotlight. And you need to see that you do. Just for example, just look at, I'm not saying the men didn't do their own, but when you check what the women were doing, the way they were mixing colors, you know. I we need to do more. I know it is a one-time event in a year.
Yes.
But if you think, there are so many other cultural events that happens. If we take from the southeast and the southwest, the north as well, all of them have some of these festivals that somehow will tell you, come back to your culture. If you want to replicate something, if you want not to just replicate, if you remember, the southeast also have the Ofala, which is almost significant to what, because Ojudoba honors the king and the Jeru people, the Ofala. Also honors the king, his transition from one period to another, and also to revere him.
And I think tourism will benefit.
Great.
That's it.
Because we have been very negligent of the potentials and the viability of tourism. I think now the state government should be thinking about building infrastructure around Ojudoba Festival.
Yes.
It's a one-day affair, but before even the day of the festival, people are in hotels 3 or 4 days before that.
Yes.
So infrastructure has to be in place, and government should get professionals. There's still the problem of space, venue.
Yes.
And that's why you had that little incident where you have a explosion or something like that.
Thank you.
Government should be able to provide the infrastructure for the festival, because it's getting bigger and bigger every day.
Oh, yes.
And no visitor or no guest will want to come to a festival fear, not sure of the security.
Yes.
So the space has to be, the normal space has to be expanded, and government in its magnanimity can provide a space for that festival.
Great. Now, so I'm glad Mr. Bayo Olaoye actually make reference to that. That Swift, there's one thing that we must pay attention to here. Yes. Everybody in that vicinity. Now, I can't say whether they are up to 50,000 people.
Okay.
I'm not certain about the number of people,
yes.
but the attire they were putting on,
yes,
those are all traditional attire. True. Now, and I begin to look at the Nigerian textile industry.
Yes.
And if all those attires were sourced locally,
yes,
then I can say within this specific period of time, just because of this festival, there was a boost in that industry. So, Swift, you want to say something about that?
So, talking about the attire, there are some people that wore designer. I don't want to call names. We have one or two celebrities who turned up and they wore designer. Let's not have anybody. But they did well. At least they came. Talking about, yes, the attire. The challenge we have in Africa right now is Chinese people have picked a market for African attires. So a lot of our African attires, unfortunately, are being exported from China into Nigeria. You are looking at laces. Yes, there's still the regular tie and dye, our weaving. But if you look at some China fashion weeks, we are seeing, and because of who Nigerians are, we also talked about a lot of people coming in from the diaspora. Why some people came and were able to pick their fabric from here. We have people who bought their fabric from there, yes, and brought it in. But for a boost for the economy, like you said, I know in Akure, they do a lot of weaving, dyeing, and all that. The adire material, which is a traditional material known for Nigerians, we floated our gele, all these outfits, coral beads, which are very important, which are locally made and also internationally made. You can't get coral beads. Original coral beads are from the elephant tongues. So automatically, like you said, the economy was worked on. I want to take us a bit away from this because I'm very close to the Edos. And I want to talk about the Igwe Festival in Benin. It's the same thing you are talking about. The Igwe Festival is a festival that honors the Oba of Benin, like saying thank you throughout the year. It's very colorful. People are coming from Europe, Italy, because Edo people are very well traveled. They were the first set of people that Europeans touched ground with when they came to Nigeria. So you are looking at fabrics. A lot of Edo people, like compared to here, people in Edo would not buy fabrics over there. They will make sure they buy from Benin. You sew in Benin because of how some even want their fabric blessed by their Oba before they wear. Cultural beads, it has to be from home. Yes, we still have people who buy. But Edo people are very, they are very conservative. Oh, God. And which is what we are hoping Yorubas become with Ojodoba. Because you notice that Yoruba people, they are very enlightened, and the younger generation especially, they are quick to kick their culture to the curve. Like I told you, we saw some celebrities wearing designer. And it was embarrassing. Because when Rihanna was doing her Barbados carnival, she was not wearing designer. She was wearing the costumes that the typical Jamaicans wear. So it's an edge. For me, I'm coming from the fact that economy is being grown, but we also have to educate. Like people like Baba, we, the media, we need to educate our young people that, look, if you have a festival, invest in local tie and dye. Invest, don't go import your fabric from China. Don't do that. Wear Nigeria. Be proud of Nigeria. So that's what I think we should push for.
Wear Nigerian. Be proud of Nigerian. Yes.
Interestingly, the president recently just passed a bill, or not even made it a law, that everything has to be Nigeria first. If we remember, Nigeria first. And similarly, we've done that thing before.
Yes.
But bringing it back again, you'd have thought this kind of conversation should just mirror around that, because it makes the festival not just our own. It now gives us that identity everywhere we go. Interestingly, the Nottingham Festival in the UK, right? When Nigerians want to represent there, you will know Nigeria. First of all, we're allowed. When we now start to put our Afrobeats. Our Afrobeats has now transcended beyond the shores of Nigeria.
Yes.
That even foreigners want to listen to Afrobeats. That's the way we are selling our culture. Now you're not coming to a festival that is your home and they are now mixing it with a bit of Western. It means you didn't even know why you were there. Because irrespective of how much you bought the cloth, right? Or the materials used in wearing it. So you don't mix your culture. It means you're now losing your identity. Your culture is supposed to be who you are. I can't remember the reggae musician that said, no matter where you come from, so long as you're a black man, you're an African.
You're an African.
That one is debatable anyway, but some will argue it because anywhere you see a black person, most likely descendant of slaves. And where did they come from? From Africa.
Yes.
But anyway, that conversion is different. But when we say things like, oh, this is a particular culture for these people. Don't come there and come and wear, you're supposed to, for example, wear Iru and Buba. You now come and go and wear a kaftan, or you go and wear an Igbo Ishiagu. You understand?
You are defeating
the purpose of that thing.
Because even if you're an Igbo and you're attending, you're supposed to adorn a Yoruba attire.
When Baba mentioned the Regbe people, these are friends of, they're not necessarily from there.
Yes.
They are friends of the people.
Age group.
The age group, where you put it, but friends of the age group can come. People are not necessarily from that place, but they attend. And then if you're going to attend, please be as part of them. Because they're supposed to, it's even funny enough, it's just one day. There are some that take 2 days, a
7
week.
days.
And if you have to be there, be there. When you go to Rome, behave like Romans. We'll go to the side. I said,
when you go to Ogun State, behave like Ogun State. Behave like
Ijebu. But anyway, you know what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
It's a one-day thing. Leave whatever sentiments you have. If you want to participate, be there 100%.
Yes.
But moving forward, I think Ojude Oba should be bigger and better. And it should not be a one-day affair.
Okay.
Activities should revolve around it, like
Lecture.
fashion parade,
Fashion parade. Okay.
a food fair.
But I need you to take that again, please. You said fashion parade, lecture,
Food fair,
food fair.
and a cultural, a drama depicting, reflecting on a particular theme of the Yoruba culture.
Yes.
Gone are those days when we used to have beautiful drama sketches.
Theater.
Yes.
We go to the National Theatre, we go to J.K. Randall Hall here to watch plays. For goodness sake, that is missing. And we need that kind of thing around the Ojude. So Ojude Oba has gone beyond just one day affair.
Yes.
We should make it 6 days, 5 days, whatever. But we should go beyond that.
Okay. So Swift.
Yes.
Baba mentioned lecture.
No, you have to say Baba rolled out a full political strategy.
I hope that the Prince Dakwa Abiodun, who is the executive governor of Ogun State,
Yes.
he actually, before about 2-3 days to that day, I saw him. He already had done his attire.
His
and there
attire
were
was
several
magnificent.
photographs of him, on social media.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I like the fact that the government actually participated actively. However,
Yes.
the lecture, the fashion parade, the movie for local art needs to be inculcated into Ojude Oba.
Yes.
So that if it can last for a week or 5 days and they are picking each day for those specific purposes, I'm wondering the kind of positive effect it will have on the economy.
Nigeria and the economy,
Yes, Swift.
exactly. So you see, all the things Baba said, there are things that I would say they are already in the works or people have talked about, because there was a time I was watching something from the Oni of Ife, and a group of reality show people went to visit him, ladies, and he had this conversation that, look, in festivals now we want to have education, we want to have this, but sometimes you need approval from government. This is the bottlenecks we are talking about. We need government funding and government support. So to build a hall where you can educate young children, because you know children nowadays, the children want to see visuals. So it won't be the regular hall where you just take children. No, there will be TV, they will be showing. You would have crafted works of an Oba with a sword, a lady riding a horse, so that when you show them like a museum, you can say, oh, this is what this means. Now, those things cost money, because you would not just build anything. You have to have a standard learning that can be global.
Yes.
I'm bringing my child from the UK. My child is used to seeing a museum that is AI operated. Now my child is coming to Nigeria and they see one dirty man that is sweeping the floor saying, pass here, pass here. And you're mommy, why are we here? And so we need to put it, like Baba said, it's not just having these ideas. Government needs to pump money. Government needs to be very intentional. Because,
and Swiss,
yes,
you know,
yes, sir.
I was with Jaman and Nikolapo at the Freedom Park.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And I met 2 drummers there. Drummers. Fantastic, you know. And the man was telling me that even drumming, the younger ones don't want to. So that the act of drumming is dying. Is dying. And in a festival like Ojude Oba, where you have a whole day of prominent drummers and people teaching people out. Issues like that.
You know,
the talking drum, I mean the talking drum.
Yes.
So
It's an art on itself.
Let me even jump into what Baba said. I remember having a conversation. I don't know. I like to mix myself with older people, even he knows.
No, younger people at heart, please. I don't like to call them older people.
My bad. I take it back.
Younger people at
I remember when he mentioned this talking drum thing, I remember having a conversation with an older person, and he said, "Do you know that it is called a talking drum for a reason? It talks.
It tells a
So
story.
there's something that they can play, a note that they will play, and the Oba would know
what exactly
not
the
to
drummer
maybe
is
sit at a place or come to a place or
Yes.
So it can guide
When you are going to see their life for you,
Security.
when you are going to see their life for you, a talking drummer will tell him, Kabisi, Alejo Mbo. Ma reti Alejo.
So
What does that mean?
those things are
The visitor is coming.
Okay. That's
You have
There's a
there's a guest coming.
There's a
You
guest
have a guest
coming, or
coming.
you have
could
a
also
visitor.
warn him.
You have a visitor, yes.
You can also warn him and say, oh,
And if
this
they
place,
bring
there are
their-
enemies here.
If there are any
There are enemies
they
here.
will tell
Do
you
not
that.
approach. Do not approach.
This kind of
just
people
by
like-
the sound.
The sound of
So
the drum.
it's something that people
And
learn.
the drum doesn't speak English, it speaks Yoruba.
Well, I don't know.
What language?
No, you need to.
Baba,
It's a
in what-
language.
Mr. Bayo Olaoye, in what language does the drum
He
speak?
speaks Yoruba.
Speaks Yoruba.
It speaks Yoruba.
Yes.
So it's not just a talking drum.
Yeah.
It talks in a specific language.
Yes.
When Baba also mentioned the structure, because we didn't structure, like you said, template, and then he mentioned something about the arts that we could use. I remember, I know it is something that they are doing now. Nollywood itself and some of the producers have now learned to now use our movies to tell stories.
Yes.
Great.
And the truth is, look, let's be honest, not everybody loves to read. As much as it's a culture that is dying, but you can find a way around everything.
Yes.
And I referenced Wakanda because it brought a different kind of consciousness that came out, because it just happened after George Floyd died.
Yeah.
They're now doing Black Lives Matter. Wakanda now came out. It now brought the black race to come out. Then come down to Nigeria. We're now having movies like Eleshoba, House of Ga, Agnikolakpo.
Yes.
There is another one that was done by...
Thinking about the fact they were shot in a film village in Ibadan.
Shout out to the likes of what's his name again? One of these
Femi Adebayo.
Afolayan, I think.
Afolayan.
The Kunde Afolayan from
They're not
brothers. Yes.
using our movies to tell us stories about history. They used to do it. I think there was one they did back there with Shango.
Yes.
But I don't think they've done any recent one. But these movies I just mentioned are like House of God. When I watched House of God, I was like, that the fact they told me, oh, it was actually a person in our history. I said, there's so many people in our history that we can tell stories about.
They are
using
not in the
movies.
history books as well.
Yes.
So, yes, when we are saying, oh, bring back history, you seem to forget that there are already options that we have.
Yes.
Correct. You don't necessarily have to have history as a subject per se. Everything about us should be able to tell our history. The media can do more.
Yes.
It's not just movies.
Yes.
We can have a talk show, and all we're addressing is maybe we'll pick on one of our deities or one of our goddesses and tell the story around it.
Yes.
Back in the days, when, funny enough, we used to do Tales by Moonlight.
Yes.
We all grew up with Tales by Moonlight.
Yes.
Where you used to tell a story and then you give a moral message to it.
True.
Children back in the days, we grew up understanding these things.
Yes.
Values, how not to take things that don't belong to you,
Yes.
the repercussion, consequences.
Yes.
Now, unless you're watching a foreign movie, okay, but for example, I want to just be entertained right now. But back in the days, you are both entertained and educated.
Okay. So
Because I'm watching Spider-Man. If I watch Spider-Man, in Nigeria, what do I want to do? Why am I be jumping from fence to fence?
So let me butt in here. Like you said, our artists too need to do more. We have people like Sir Victor Wifo tell stories. So that's Joromio. It is actually a story of one of, in quotes, the kings in Edo. Yes. So he was telling a story of how Joromi was fighting spirits. So when you are hearing, Kese, it is the fight they were having.
Describing
So he's telling you the story. So this, like, our musicians can do more. Let's, like, right now they were doing an Afrobeat. There's now an Afrobeat section with the Grammys. And I'm looking at people like Chris Brown being nominated, Jeremy for Afrobeat. What our Nigerian artists? Because if you're not careful, these people have no they're going to take it over. So we can do more. Yes, sir.
Sweet. You know something is happening on Lagos Island now.
Okay.
Yes.
And the KBC, Oba Rilwan Akeolu, is very worried about it. When you do this kareta every year, there's something called Meboy. It's a dance step. Now, none of the youth can dance Meboy anymore. So you find that people at my age, 75, 80, are now teaching 18-year-old, 20-year-old how to dance Meboy in Brazilian quarters, Brazilian descendants in Lagos Island. It's unbelievable.
Wow.
That art alone can be taught. Now, people are thinking that when you do you don't do one day. Now, before 1 or 2 days, things like this will be taught to these young ones. So that it doesn't
go into extinction.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I wish we have time. I wish we have time. We can just go on and on and on. And the producer is saying we have 6 more minutes. Let's see. Let's see. So let's see if we can make 3. Let's make use of 3 in there. You spoke about the movies and you spoke about how we can have, you spoke about telling stories. I think learning, you spoke about learning also in language.
Yes.
China, the reason why they were this developed is because they learn in their own language and they are taught. Yes. They didn't use English to learn, even though they were colonized.
Oh, yes.
The Korean you also speak. So I was wondering, imagine a speaking, because I've heard of a graduate, a youth corper who went to teach English. He was sent to go and teach English in these
places. Yes.
He used Yoruba to teach the children English. So I begin to wonder.
Let me sweeten the deal. God bless her soul, her blessed memory. Baby Baba will know her. Professor Sophie Oyewole, one of the lecturers in ASU.
Nice.
She will not even communicate to you. Professor! And she will tell you the best way to teach Nigerians is by their local language.
Yes.
And what inspired her, she started teaching in Yoruba. Professor! And many of her books are written in Yoruba. Of course, it's Yoruba, so you can understand why. She said what triggered it was she was traveling on a journey and then had to stop somewhere to make purchase along the road. And then she saw a native village. And then she saw that child. She said, according to her, she said that child cannot be more than 6 years old. That child knew how to calculate money in Yoruba. And the grandmother left the child there
to the market, to
sell things. And the conversation, she said this girl was so smart, and all the girl was speaking was Yoruba, but she understood everything.
The transaction.
The transaction, like, she was like, am I transacting with a 6-year-old, like, or a 5-year-old per se? But once she now went back, she now said, many of what this child knows is what the grandmother knew. And it was communicated only in that language.
And the grandmother might be an illiterate.
I
will not use the word illiterate. She might not go to the school.
Yes. But everything she knew, she passed it on. And somebody as young as 5 was able to grasp conversations with an older person, transacting business with you, simply because everything she understood was from the culture, from the ground. So what she was always promoting is, anything you want to teach, teach in a local dialect, they catch it better. Because first off, your brain will first, if you try to speak in English, your brain will first want to translate it from what you know first to English, before they actually process it to understand. So that gives you like double work what your brain is supposed to do. We have left and right brain. Each of them is supposed to do different capacity in our heads. So when you now say, first off, I have to now understand what you're saying in my language, then put it to English and then answer you back in English. it's already brain work.
I see. So Swift, as we round up.
Yes. Okay, so as we round up, I'm a fighter for culture because I was one of the people that I suffered from cultural loss. My father is Yoruba, my mother is Edo. And my mother felt the best way to bring us up was to teach us English and not let us speak our local dialects. And then she now regretted it. I think when I turned 16, my cousins came from the UK and they were speaking Benin fluently. And their mother said, look, because when you are there, they don't know you are Nigerian. They know you are African. They know you are black. They call you monkey. So the children say, no, we are not monkey. We are from Edo State. And they speak their language. And they say, Ogba, Tokpeye. And the Yorubas too speak their language. And when they are going for school events, they dress up in their attire. And my mom was so ashamed of herself. And at that point, she started trying to get us to learn how to speak Yoruba and English. So I would always encourage people, your culture comes first. Nobody knows your name. Nobody knows who you are. But they can identify you by your culture, your language, and where you come from.
We have to promote the language. We have to promote the language.
Yes.
And I think we need writers. D.O. Fagunwa, if you remember, was a legend.
Yes.
Up to now, I don't see people producing literature in our languages. Where are the writers? The writers are not there anymore. So government should give incentives, banks should give incentives to boarding writers to churn out literature for these children.
Maybe we should wrap up with saying our local names.
My names are already local.
My local name is Akoni. My wife calls me Akoni. That's my local name.
So Bayo Olaoye Akoni or Bayo Akoni.
Let's say
Akoni is exclusive.
It's exclusive. Okay.
When you are calling me Akoni, you are going
Okay.
Anyway, bless my parents. I'm from half Anambra, half Delta.
So you are half caste. Oh my God.
I'm half caste. Okay, so I've got like 5 names. Interestingly, because my grandparents are giving me as well. So I've got Namdi, Ikbamanam, Chikodele. For I'm begin to take all the
that one is long.
No, it's all different. So there's Namdi, there's Chikodele. There's Ikbamanam, because the Namdi and then the Ikbamanam were for 2 grandparents.
And remaining 2. You said 5.
The surname is Amamife Chukulo.
Okay.
Yeah, as long as it is, we have to now make it shorter. I just say Amolo.
Amolo. Okay.
So when I put those names together, everybody's just confused. Like, where's it from?
Okay, Swift, your local.
So it's Adetola Omoyekeme Osakpolo, which is a Benin name. Then Aderito, then the English is a Swift.
So please do not be deceived by the English or the grammar, the Queen's English we speak here. We are Africans. My name is Oyinpreye Krumale, core African from the Nigerian.
Give us the middle name. No.
You have to give us a middle name.
Yes. The middle name is somewhere. So you know this is a good place for us to wrap it up because this conversation will never cease, and we will not stop talking about Africa, monuments, festivals. You can send us messages, and it's there. You can reach us on all our social media platforms at Soup News Television. Many thanks for watching. Do have yourself a splendid weekend.